Welcome back to Obscured Reality, Part 3, with our special guest, Jared Turner. Back with Stephanie Mark and our special guest from last time, Jared Turner, is back. So we'll give a quick recap for Stephanie. A little bit she missed after she jumped off. I think we kind of finished up with Lou Elizondo and his lifetime of vagueness throughout the UAP topic.
Okay.
Which I know you're somewhat familiar with. I've mentioned that so many times.
Yes, and also we have done some podcasts about it as well.
Yeah.
Episodes. There we go. That's the word.
Welcome back, Jared.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I had a great time last time, and I was really looking forward to this. And I wish I had known about a couple days ago, and I would have joined you then. So,
no worries. Well, tonight, what I'm thinking is we're going to talk about Annalise Michel. And is it pronounced Michel? Michel, yeah. Now, you had, I'm trying to find it in the bio here. You've done some stuff with that. We're not going to start with that yet, but that is one of the things we will start with. Because you have done some investigating of your own into that, as well as, didn't you mention you wrote a paper on that, I believe?
Authored two papers in college on it.
Okay, perfect. So if you don't mind, in a little bit, we'll go into that, and you can maybe give us a rundown of the story, because, I'm a little familiar with it, but not too much. I don't know how much Stephanie is, probably about the same. We can get a good grasp on it, and I'm curious how you got into that and all that, but we'll get there. I want to mention something first, because you and I, Jared, talked about this on the last one, as I believe after Stephanie jumped off. We were talking real quick about Steven Greer, alleged Dr. Steven Greer. And I mentioned some things to you, how now there's some new info coming out that there might be some type of Israeli / Mossad correlation here. So I did find some information on that, and I wanted to read some of this to you guys and get your take on this, Jared, because I think you're going to be a little more versed in some of this Mossad, Israeli stuff, possibly. So I got this from ForbiddenKnowledgeTV.net, from an article from them. Now, a name that's come up before, Stephanie, you're aware of Museum of Tarot?
Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
This guy who's got a podcast or a show on YouTube.
I like him.
Jared, he on YouTube goes by Museum of Tarot, and he is the one I saw that had put out, I don't know if he was the first, but he was around there, that I think it was him. He did some investigating into Steven Greer's his little CE5 event that he does, where they summon UFOs and all that BS. And this was in Vero Beach quite a few years ago. And this is the guy that had found out that, he did the research into it and found that there was an airplane that took off from nearby airport. He tracked that on flight radar, and it happened to go over the area where the flares or the lights were seen at the same time that Greer saw them and everything. So this has to do with Museum of Tarot. This guy's name is Brent Stone. Now, he was on the Danny Jones podcast, okay? And he went on there to call BS, and now I'm reading bits and pieces from what the article was. He went on there to call BS and to drop bombs on everything about Dr. Steven Greer. He's saying that he appears to have gotten his start as a Mossad asset, and that he's been shilling for Lawrence Rockefeller's UFO information operation ever since. So we'll go into this a little bit. This is just from the article. I haven't done any other research. He even doubted that Steven Greer, Dr. Greer, had time to complete his medical residency, which is going to go into here. So he said he's been following Greer since May of 2001. That had to do with the online videos from the Disclosure Project. So in between there, he went into his history and how long he's been doing this and why and all this. And he says, having done all this, having said all this, not once have I ever heard Dr. Greer say anything about the, now correct me on my pronunciation, Baha'i faith. It's Baha with some weird marks and then a space and an I, Baha'i. He's never heard anything about the Baha'i faith having to do with Dr. Greer. Now we learn that he and his wife were married at the Baha'i World Center in Haifa, Israel, while he was, in quotes, employed in the information processing department. That's according to their wedding announcement in the Charlotte Observer. We're going there. Hold on. There's more on that. Yep. So this 1993 Charlotte Observer obituary of his sister does not refer to him as a doctor, although his bio suggests he was in medical practice at the time through 1998, but the omission of doctor may be irrelevant, so not a big deal. His Wikipedia article, and don't scoff at Wikipedia, everything I found and had to look at has matched with other things, but we do know, maybe not word for word,
Yeah, it's better than it used to be too.
Yes, it is.
The fact that you actually have sources and you can go down and click send sources to reference, I like that.
So his Wikipedia article states that he received an MD degree from the James H. Quillen College of Medicine of East Tennessee State University in 1987 and his Virginia medical license in 1989 and worked as an emergency room physician. Now we know that's what Steven Greer touts all the time. I've only ever heard him talk about is he was an emergency room physician. The clipping was made on May 5th, 2021 by a newspaper.com user named Smolkins. That's Smolkins, who only makes clippings about Baha'i people in the U.S. Smolkins added the note obituary of Diana Greer Philemon, sister of Baha'i Steven Greer. So now we have articles from like this obituary of his sister listing him as sister of
his wife or his sister died.
His sister.
Okay.
Yeah. It was an obituary for his sister. So I'm curious who this Smolkins person is because it almost kind of sounds, first thought I got was I wonder if that is Steven Greer. But so we continue on. It goes, why are references to Baha'ism avoided after the 1990s when Dr. Greer becomes a full-time interplanetary diplomat bankrolled by Lawrence Rockefeller? His Wikipedia article says only that he, quote, served as director of a meditation organization in the early 1970s, citing his 1995 article from Yoga Magazine, which specifies that he was at the International Meditation Society in the Bahamas. So the meditation thing adds up with what he's doing with the UFO CE5 crap and claiming to be able to summon these things. So Brent Stone, again from Museum of Tarot, says that Baha'i is widely considered to be an intelligence gathering operation for Mossad. This is according to Ahmad Saleh, chairman of Iran's Parliamentary Cultural Commission, who announced in 2014, quote, I declare very explicitly that Baha'ism is an espionage organization which gathers intelligence for the CIA and Mossad, and there are abundant documents to prove this. Now,
what the
I've heard rumors, again, just rumors, people talking about Greer. I've heard a few different people mention that they think, they wouldn't doubt if he is CIA. Why?
That's so crazy because everything I've ever heard about Baha'i is not that. It's about one love, one God. All religion is one. Whoa! I'm mind blown. Flabbers have been gasted.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, we know this guy Brent Stone from Museum of Tarot. We do know he does his research, and he's not.
I believe that. Yeah,
he definitely does not come off as a bullshitter. Right. So, obviously, and he's admitting in here, he's like, "Here's what I'm finding." Although I've never heard of this and this correlated, but this is what I'm finding, and this guy from Israel does whatever is saying here's Baha'i and what it is, and so where do we take it?
Yeah, and I'm trying not to get jaded by the Jeffrey Epstein thing because since that all we hear about is Epstein and now Steven Greer and others being Mossad assets. So just so you know about Mossad, they are the premier intelligence gathering organization that also does other things. And by other things, I mean
Right.
things that the CIA technically um, is not allowed to do by our own laws. Assassinations. There
Yeah.
is nothing that the Mossad won't do.
Did you ever see the movie Extraordinary Rendition?
Yes.
I don't know if that had anything to do with Mossad, but that's, I think, a good example along the lines of what you're talking about. How we don't do it, but we outsource.
We outsource to contractors. And
like low key NCIS, the Ziva era, they kind of touched on a lot of what Mossad was and what they were able to do and what they were willing to do.
Yeah.
When I found out she was off the show, I stopped watching it.
Thank you.
I also found out she was Latino and not Israeli. And I'm like, and she's she just made that whole thing.
Such a good actress. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I love Ziva.
So as far as Mossad's concerned, we've seen what they've done in the past, and we've seen what Israel's been able to do in the past. We mentioned last time if you want to look at the top hostage rescue missions in the world and rank them, like Israel has the first three.
Wow.
And it's not because they're better skilled than Delta or SAS. It's because they have the guts to do things. And so whether it's going into
their hands probably aren't as tight as much as our military's hands are.
Yeah. And we have, of course, we're the world's superpower, and we're that for a reason. And in doing that, we have obligations and responsibilities that a lot of people don't like to discuss at times. What I'm thinking now specifically when it comes to Steven Greer is I know that whenever something comes up, it's easy to attach them to an intelligence agency. I did the same to both of you. Both of you guys are CIA assets. I'm certain of that at this point.
I wish my bank account says I was one. Holy fuck!
Where's my real studio instead of my home one?
Bedroom.
Yeah.
You know what? I wish my bank account said I actually was, because I wouldn't be living in fucking Northwest Indiana. That's for sure.
Spoken like a true intel agent.
Oh Jesus!
I mean, that argument, I've heard that so many times. People, it's like, oh, that's exactly what they'd say. You know what? If you think someone is that, like, anything they say is exactly what you think they would say. Yeah. It doesn't matter what they say. Like, you can argue all of it if you're coming from that aspect of, I think that person's a spy, a psyop. You can argue all of it.
Yeah,
we don't know his real name. Well, we would never know his real name. That's what they do with those, black ops guys. So I know. So I'm trying to think though, what benefit would Steven Greer, would the Mossad have? Like what? I mean, we know they spy on the U.S. We're allies, but we still know they spy on the U.S. We also know that we contribute to their economy, to their military every year, billions of dollars, and rightfully so. And we do that for a lot of countries. But because Mossad is not actively seeking out renditions and things of that nature, assassinations on U.S. soil of U.S. politicians that would absolutely fracture that relationship.
That we know of.
that we know of.
That's exactly what a Mossad agent would say, Jared.
There you go. There you go. Can I tell you this quick story? I'm in Iraq. My buddies, this is what teammates do to you, okay? So this is the camaraderie and brotherhood that so many people miss, whether it's in football or basketball, any sports, or going to war, or first responders. You have your squad that goes out, and so my guys convinced me at one point. They're like, you know what? You ought to, because I let my hair grow out. And they're like, you ought to dye your hair like a surfer blonde. Dude, that would be. And I was like, okay. So I called I'm married still at the time. I called my wife, had her send the stuff over to dye my hair. We dye my hair. And then I decided this isn't enough. Not only is it not enough, now this looks kind of, so we had to dye it completely white because I have dark hair. And then we had to go to like a dirty blonde. The fact that I mentioned the word dirty blonde should tell you that this is not a good conversation. So my buddies come to me the next day and they're like, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me. There's no way you thought that was a good idea. We were just joking with you." And so I got mad and I thought, well, I'll show you guys. I'm going to keep it like this. Not only am I going to keep it like this, I'm putting it in dreadlocks tonight. I couldn't figure out how to put it in dreadlocks because they said that it'll get all matted up and you'll have to cut it. And I said, okay, what about braids? So I go to an MP, a military police officer. It took her 15 minutes to braid my entire head of hair. And I mean, my hair was down to here at the time. So she braided my entire hair. I go into our briefing the next day, kitted up, ready to go, ready to go kick in the door. And the commander walks in and looks at me. And he gives me this big speech on drawing the line. And sometimes you never know where the line is until you cross it. And well, guess what? In 5 minutes, you're going home unless that stuff's out of your head. So I just ran in the bathroom and I put this conditioner on it, and it all fell out. And then the Iraqis were calling me the blonde woman with golden locks, and they thought I was like they were convinced I was a CIA op, or that I was Mossad or somebody. And so I never, like I told you before, there's times where we threw down some top secret stuff that they thought was top secret, and it was just Jedi mind tricking them. So I never denied that when they'd ask me about it. I'd be like, well, I mean, I would never tell you. So, but
as long as they're not putting a hit out on you because of it, I mean, play the role. I mean, you might help.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to think of what benefit it would be. First of all, you're not going to find a Mossad agent or a CIA agent that's current. I'll go back to Valerie Plame when she was still active. You're not going to find these people doing podcasts, advertising who they are, and all that. So now, let's go to post that Andrew Bustamante, who is a great example of somebody that I have a lot of respect for. And if he says something, he's intelligent. He speaks well on subjects, even if he's not a subject matter expert. He knows enough about some basics, but he's a great communicator, and and he tells the truth about manipulation and about how females, when you're dealing with, because we got a lot of female assets out there that can get to men where men can't get to. That's just, we just know that to be the case.
Okay, question. Super quick. I'm so sorry. Honeypots. Is this like a thing? Is that a thing? Like where they send in like a super gorgeous woman to try to like manipulate a particular person who would be like an asset to them in some way, or is like a threat to them? Like, is that a thing?
Like a Red Sparrow, or like a female, like what's her name? Angelina Jolie and Brad. She played with Brad Pitt.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, did that. Like, yeah, is that really a thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I've heard. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you know on this, Jared.
I've been accused of being one of those.
Like I know, a longer time ago, there was more of kind of sleeping around, using sex as a way to get to that, and that's not something that's used as much anymore. That particular aspect of it.
So they actually, the CIA, and I learned this from Andrew Bustamante, but the CIA actually frowns on. Yeah. And not only frowns on it, you're prohibited from having sexual relationships with one of your assets, somebody that you're working in the field. Now, that doesn't, when you get into the contractors and the other non-CIA assets that are out there working for them, it's a different story. But it's far from like the Olympic Park where all the athletes are having orgies every night.
Yeah. Free for all.
Yeah. So
crazy.
I gotta mark that off the bucket list at some point.
They're all good looking.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you know what I mean. They're all there together. They're all good looking, and they're all
have you seen some of the swimmers?
Oh yeah, I mean,
they handed out 400. I think it was 400,000 condoms.
Condoms. Yep.
Yeah.
Jesus
last one.
Christ. Well, I was wondering the same thing along the same lines with Dr. Greer. What benefits are there, and not necessarily on Greer's part, like what benefits would be there for him if he was a part of this? Because obviously that would be money. But what benefit from what Steven Greer has done? What benefit is there for Mossad or the Baha'i, whatever this thing is. And the only thing I can come up with, because he pretty much just does this UAP thing, but he's made a lot of claims that he's been in a lot of meetings with some government personnel. If there is any truth to any of that, that could be where some of the benefit comes in. But you would think a group like Mossad, if he's even lightly tied to it, they'd be able to do 10 times better work than him without even being on our soil.
Would you want him on? Would you? I mean, just so think about some of the, whether it's the Joe Rogan or the Danny Jones or the Julian Dory or the, all these podcasts that he's done. Think about, I mean, if I'm the Mossad, okay, and we're just going to pretend that the Mossad has their own big headquarters in Israel, and I'm sitting on the king of it, and I'm looking at this guy thinking, he's embarrassing us. I mean, some of the things that he's doing and saying. The only thing that Steven Greer did right, in my opinion, from what you just read, was linking up with a Rockefeller. Because John D. Rockefeller, Jay Rockefeller was my governor in West Virginia when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. And so the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, I mean, those. So linking up with somebody like that.
Stupid rich families of America.
Well, Greer's never said anything about Baha'i, Mossad, any of that. So it's like, yes, it could be embarrassing for them, right? Someone like him, especially someone like him. But he also, let's just play off the idea that, let's say it's fact. He is part of that somehow. He's never once talked about it, so he's done a good job shutting up about that, but not anything else. And he comes off like a complete fraud, which he is.
Yeah. Completely. And I'm sorry, Stephanie, I didn't mean to jump in there. Going off what you're saying, I just don't know what. I think it may be in the beginning, maybe when they first got married, and maybe when they first thought this would be a good. Maybe he got some training. Maybe we don't know, but I know that he's not a threat. He's an aggravation, if more than anything. But to me, to somebody that is dead set on doing the research to find the truth in the matter, and not something that I've always preached to everybody, is to do your own investigation. Do your own research. Find out. Take a look at these past articles. Take a look at these referee journals that just because someone's claiming something. So I've told that to my son and other people. But what I would say is that Steven Greer, if you just listen to one podcast, pick any up, listen to one podcast, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
On that. So I would say if he was connected to Mossad in any way, unfortunately being connected to Israel is being connected to Mossad. If you're connected to Israel, people are going to say you're a Mossad asset.
Right. And that's what I'm thinking. Like this probably all has to do with his wife. Who knows? Maybe she has some family in the Baha'i faith, whatever. And maybe that's how he got, maybe he really did get some type of job working at this place. However, this place is allegedly highly known for working agents there, not just people with a regular job, but we don't really know. That's the way I see it. Is it's probably just an in from his wife. She probably had a hookup, a relative, friend, something. They're getting married, so we'll give them a job because they're probably living out there for a little bit. Who knows? But
it's a Rockefeller, so of course they probably probably are related to half of Israel.
Yeah, well, this is another thing we were talking about last time too. Coincidence, right? What's the chance a proven fraud like Greer, all of a sudden we can throw out big names like Mossad, Baha'i, Israel, Rockefeller? Oh, come on! But how is he living? How are they paying their bills? What the hell's his wife do? Where are they getting their money? Because he does nothing but this for God knows how long now, And if he was an emergency room physician, you're going to quit that, which he said, you're going to quit that and just, you're able to just immediately jump to this UFO topic way back when, 30 years ago, however long ago it was, 30, 40 years ago. He's able to just quit being an emergency room physician after just a few years, which is probably a very well-paying job for him, and just jumped to this, and I would assume somehow still making money, which would have been much harder back then to do than now with podcasting, things like that. If you can get that done the right way, if you can make income.
Here's where, and I don't want to get ahead, but here's where this leads me to. If you look at what we talked about last time with Lou Elizondo, and I found the Joe Rogan, Tom DeLonge interview. Oh my gosh, it is so difficult to watch.
Tom DeLonge, man, he kills me, man. I nicknamed him, and I can't believe I've not heard anyone else do it. Tom DeSchlong, because I watch him talk, and I'm like, this guy's just a tool, man. He's so arrogant. He's just about himself.
I watched that interview. So as soon as we got off last week, I pulled it up. And I watched the interview, and it's not the full interview. It's 17 minutes of Joe Rogan, but them talking specifically about him saying that they approached him, and he left Blink-182 for that. And he talks about their company.
He said that?
He said that. And
he never gives because he left Blink-182 because there was a little falling out, probably because he was a crackhead. Acting like a crackhead, not that he did crack.
Oh, okay. I was about to be like, ooh.
He acts like one. Watch him talk, Stephanie. Go watch.
I know.
Go watch a couple of interviews or somewhere he just talks himself. He can't focus. Every time he's asked a question, he gets this little smirk on his face and says, "Oh, yeah, I know some stuff I can't talk about." Blah, blah, blah.
He does that exact same thing with Joe Rogan, and you
that's
can't.
That's where I come.
He doesn't give one answer. One answer. He doesn't. He wants to tell a story that he's concocted in his head. Travis Barker says he's laughed whenever anybody asks if he's some type of genius or anything.
Maybe musical.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe.
So Damn It was one of my favorite songs back 20 years ago.
Okay.
And so now when you see Blink-182 live, all the people of my generation are there because they want one verse out of that whole thing.
Yeah.
And they all scream it out loud and think they've done something really cool. And, we'll be in bed by 9 o'clock tonight. So that's how tough we are.
Yep.
So back to Steven Greer.
Oh my God, that was me Friday night.
I wish I could. Well, I kind of don't. I lived a good life in college and after that. And so I say that to say this is that as I back up and we're talking about Steven Greer and Tom DeLonge and those guys, it just doesn't pass the test of does this sound like, so you've heard Andrew Bustamante talk.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. And he's and he really is, he's articulate. He's to the point.
Yeah, he's no bullshit either. He's just here's the facts, man.
I watched him on Danny Jones call out John Kiriakou for John Kiriakou's hypocrisy.
I saw part of that.
Yeah, and it was brilliant because exactly what he said. He never overstate. If he doesn't know the answer to something, he'll refer to the, can we find that out or something. But all that said, there's a big difference in how he behaves, when you watch him as a former CIA officer, and then when you have a Jeffrey Epstein or a Steven Greer or some of these guys that, everybody gets linked to at some point, CIA or Mossad or the,
Right.
So I just don't know. I mean,
well, let's finish on Greer. So I have more from the article here, and maybe this will. I don't know, but maybe this will go into or answer some of the things you've been mentioning. Maybe. Now, this isn't the entire article. I just took some things out of it. But we'll finish that up because, I kept some stuff I thought might be important. I don't know. But there are definitely things to look into. So this guy continues on. I think it was Brent Stone. I've never heard that before. We were talking about a link with CIA and Mossad and all that. I've never heard that before. The Baha'i faith was founded by a Persian aristocrat in the 1860s. I've never met a practicing Baha'i, but the late Cyrus Parsa described himself as Zoroastrian Baha'i, whatever that is. The only thing I know about it is the incredible Baha'i temple outside of Chicago. According to Wikipedia again, the New World Order and global governance are central to the Baha'i faith. Now, I don't know anything about it, so I can't speak to any of that. He says, could the sole purpose of Baha'ism be to act as an intelligence cutout to facilitate the New World Order? That seems hard to believe, but the facts are that the Baha'i faith is aligned with the globalist agenda and that the international governance and coordination of the Baha'i faith is headquartered in Haifa, Israel, where Dr. Greer was once employed in the information processing department. Kind of a repeat there, but he was just adding more. He goes on. The other thing Dr. Greer stopped talking about is, and I don't care either way. This is from the article. The other thing Dr. Greer stopped talking about is his gay activism, which is where he got his training in public relations before he founded CSETI in 1990. Now, these are direct things in this article taken from this Danny Jones interview with Brent Stone from Museum of Tarot. Danny Jones, reading from newspaper article, he's reading from a newspaper article, quote, Emily and he's reading this out loud on the podcast. Emily and Steven Greer, Haifa, Israel. Emily Kramer and Steven Greer were married Saturday at Baha'i World Center. So they were married there. The bride is the daughter of Mrs. Douglas Kramer of Palm Beach, Florida, and the late Dr. Kramer. She graduated from the University of Pennsylvania and received a master's degree in occupational therapy from Boston University. She was employed by the Peace Corps in Barbados. The still quote from the marriage thing. The bridegroom is the son of Mr. and Mrs. James Greer of 1201 Princeton Avenue. He attended the Appalachian State University and is employed in the Information Processing Department at Baha'i World Center. After a trip through Israel, the couple will live in Haifa and work at the Baha'i World Center. So this is direct from when they got married. Whether that's all a lie back then or not, who knows? But this is what he found. So now Brent Stone goes, yep, that's the original marriage notice. Baha'i was regarded as an intelligence gathering operation for Mossad. Brent Stone continues, I've done a lot of research on Steven Greer. I don't want to make any claims to get me in any kind of trouble about him, but it doesn't look to me like he had enough time to even do medical school and a residency. And certainly the old newspaper articles don't refer to him as Dr. Greer. It's like he goes right into UFO stuff. There's indication he worked for a very short time at a small hospital in Western North Carolina and then went directly into shilling UFOs for Rockefeller. So that's it for the article. But that's interesting because, he really didn't have much time to do enough medical that would put you as an emergency room physician, I wouldn't think. But, this is a long time ago as well. It was a different time.
It's sounding like, the more you read the article, it's sounding to me like with the Peace Corps and with the different, but them being married and mentioning her parents. So let me back up before I say this. First of all, let me start by saying this. I don't speak for Marshall University or for the Hurd brothers. This is just me in my own personality. So I'm not speaking on behalf of Marshall.
Yeah.
That said, Israel, every citizen of Israel has a tie to the Mossad and to their IDF and to the security of their state. So one of the common things they'll do is that the Mossad, when they took out that arms dealer for Hamas in, I believe it was either Abu Dhabi or Dubai, but 18 assets from Mossad, half of which were female, flew to this hotel, and they set up. If you watch the security camera footage on how they would walk down the halls and then get in the elevator and then how they would pass off to each other. But what happens is they will go to dual citizens in Israel. And we can look this up. We can fact check this. They'll go to dual citizens and say, you're not using your passport this year. Can the state, the government use it? And then we will return it to you and you'll forever be part of the the group that helped save our state, and so they just farm them out. They use
Okay.
passports with, so everybody over there has some type of tie to
Interesting.
the military, to the IDF, to the Mossad.
Isn't military service like required for Israelis?
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people get on to them, and
I
I'm going to
mean,
tell you this.
South
I'm
Korea
like,
does it too.
well, and I believe strongly in some type of service after school, after high school or college, whether it's a year of service or 2 years. It doesn't have to be in the military, but some type of service back to the community and back to the public. That said, the females all do 2 years, and the males do a longer stint. I think it's four. But
Okay.
I've had guys that I've worked with that have said, "Hey, the Israelis, there's nothing really special about them. I mean, they're behind us on just about everything and
Right.
work for us." And so, while I agree with that, um, I'm not putting the Israelis up there with their tactical their tactical units have just had some incredible. I mean, and I don't even have to say anything after the pager and the radio
That was
10 year.
crazy.
Yeah, that, and for them to say that there's something else coming in Iran, if you look now,
Yeah.
Mossad was over there. They actually disrupted a lot of the things that were over there. They're,
And Stephanie, you know what he's referring to with the pager incident, like a year or 2 years ago, whatever that was. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was
Okay.
it was like 9 months ago, I think, something, maybe a year ago.
Yeah, that sounds
So
about right.
so the pagers all go off, and they're using pagers because they think that their cell phones can be tracked. So they're already, but not only did Mossad take this into
Yeah.
account, they put the right amount to where the pager would still work and still have the explosive in it. It ended up maiming or killing, when it went off, most of the leadership, and then followed it up, a day later with the radios in case they didn't have the pagers. So then they hit everybody with the radios. They just do things. They take. They're not
Patience.
reactive. They're active, and they yeah, patience. I mean, I would just assume that Mossad is in every country. Now, Steven Greer is not trying to steal secrets from us. He's not passing them back along. I would think that if that would happen, we would have already addressed that. That would have been
Oh,
because he's already somebody that's made him. He's put himself in the
he's talked too
limelight.
much about it, and if you're doing that, you're not going to talk about it the way he does, because you'd immediately, we would start looking into him immediately. He would have been found out by now.
Absolutely.
His mouth can't stop on it. So,
Yeah.
could there be any truth to it? He mentions all these officials he's had meetings with and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, they want nothing to do with the guy. So they're probably not going to come out
You
and
know what?
say anything anyways.
This sounds like John Lear
Yeah.
having money and sponsoring
Yep.
George Knapp and Bob Lazar, and now a Rockefeller. Pick a Rockefeller, doesn't matter which one. They're all gazillionaires.
Yeah.
Him being tied with a Rockefeller, um, to I mean to that, and that's what we talked about when we talked about the Skinwalker Ranch and the fact that they they built $22 million out of the U.S. government to do studies out there
Yeah.
on nothing. And so it sometimes
Bob
makes me
Bigelow.
wonder if they're getting these grants or these budget line items, and they know they're not doing anything. They
Oh,
know
they
there's
do.
nothing to study, and
Yeah.
yet the money's still coming in. And so,
Yeah.
when you cut the purse strings, a lot of times that's when you.
Yeah. And there was some things with Skinwalker and Bob Bigelow, that when that money came through, it looks kind of like that was kind of sketchy deal. I think it was Harry Reid that got the money for him or something. I
Yeah,
think it was Harry Reid, and the way he went about it, it wasn't very direct. Like, it's for him, but with the whole opening of the this position to go study this or whatever the deal was, it was one of those things where he made sure, Bob Bigelow was the only one putting in for that not
no
job, but
compete, no
yeah,
compete
exactly.
contract. Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you on Greer. I mean, I thought this was interesting. I wanted to bring this up. This isn't, if you have time, you come on again. We can go through Greer later. I just wanted to mention that because we did mention that last time. I mentioned this possible connection with him and Baha'i and
You mentioned it last time.
Israel. Yeah, and I want to make sure I brought it up and looked into it a little bit, at least found some stuff on it because it is interesting. It's new. And who knows? I mean, obviously, opinion, but it's very obvious to me he's a complete bullshitter. I've never put any faith in that guy whatsoever. He opens his mouth, it's like nothing but a dozen red flags just pop out of his throat. He can't open his mouth without concern here.
The number of people that I worked with in Iraq and that I worked with over my career that had top secret security clearances, compartmentalized, specific, as high as you can get, and you would never know it because there's not a need to know, and they know if there's one thing that they don't talk about, it has nothing to do with signing an NDA. It has more to do with delivering secret information, and so for him to get on there and it's just not. I mean, like I said, you can line up the CIA guys or the FBI guys or the former SEAL Team 6 guys, the Delta guys that are on these podcasts. Yeah. And about 15 minutes into it whether somebody's full of shit or not.
Yeah.
Now,
exactly.
Sometimes if they're being real technical about things and just storytelling, it's one thing. But it's just like when I listen to John Kiriakou, God love him for what he tried to do, but it was so jacked up how he and to find, and then you start finding out, like anything else, when you peel the onion back, the things that actually went on and the things that and that weren't under the Whistleblower Protection Act. And so it's just that's my take on Steven Greer. I don't know enough about his projects, and I just know that I can't stand listening to him talk about how he's in with these black ops guys and that there's a new world order coming, and then I hear the Illuminati, and then I hear it's
all the trigger words.
Yeah, like
he's
out
gonna
there in your state, the ranch or the where they have the owls and the presidents go every year. You know what I'm talking about?
Bohemian Grove.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What?
I've heard of Bohemian Grove.
Oh my gosh! Wait till you hear Kid Rock's story.
I really hope you're being sarcastic right now with that stupid little smirk because
I've never heard of Bohemian Grove. What do you want me to say? You want me to lie
serious?
to you? Tell me. I've heard of it. I don't know much of anything.
Well, it's just so it's like the Bilderberger. It's the highest class. It's presidents. It's for men only, and they go out and they it's just basically a week in the woods, and they have like a.
God.
What do you call it? Not a conference, but
an orgy.
It's seminars and and that too probably. But it's just funny to listen to Kid Rock talk about it because he got invited out there and he just went typical Kid Rock and got
familiar
kicked out
with
there.
Kid Rock.
So Alex Jones, believe it or not, Alex Jones is the one who infiltrated Bohemian Grove back in the day when he was a true journalist. He snuck into Bohemian Grove, and Stephanie can tell you how hard it is to get into there. I mean, there's cameras, everything.
I like the true journalist part, though. That was funny.
I hear Alex Jones, and I just want to gag, man. That guy.
I know. So it just goes back to, anyhow. So about Steven Greer, I don't think there's anything tied to. He's certainly not working for him now, because if he is, you got to ask yourself what benefit is he providing to him.
That's the biggest thing. The only thing I can think of is if he actually is somehow managing to get in some type of low-level meetings with some of these, some type of government, possibly military officials. Like that would be the only thing I can think of. However, they're not going to tell him much of anything that would be useful to send back to Mossad.
This is a master class on how to manipulate a rich person into paying for your entire career.
Yep.
It just somewhere or another they got linked up. But I mean, if you're going to link up with somebody, then
hey, someone with money.
Yeah, that's old generational welfare at the top.
Yeah.
So
thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.